Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday. It is February the 1st, 2025, and we're going to go through 5 steps to get into medical writing. So before we start, I just want you to turn off your phone, close any of your other tabs, and get rid of any distractions. So do not copy and paste any links in the chat, they won't work. And also grab your notebook and pen or have another window open to type any notes. If you have any questions, you can just type them straight into the chat and then I will go through them at the end. Also, I just wanted to declare that no part of this presentation was generated using AI. So I have spent lots of time making boxes smaller, changing colors and writing everything. So I do not encourage the use of AI for writing or for image generation. So if you don't know me, then I'm just going to go through a little bit about who I am. And this is a picture of me when I was at a YouTube health event at the launch in September 2023. And I'm sitting next to someone from Google who's asking me questions and also someone from the NHS, which I worked with to create some health information videos. So in terms of my portfolio as a medical writer, I've worked with the World Health Organization, YouTube Health, the NHS, and the Patient Information Forum, also known as PIF. I've also written for for Pharmacy Magazine, and also as the Online Doctor by Zava Online Doctor, and some other notable names like the London Clinic, which is a private hospital in central London, and also Big Health UK. And when I'm not working, I'm doing other things, usually for the community. So this is things like creating health information videos as Pharmacist Virginia, and also running Right Clinic, which is a collection of medical education resources for healthcare professionals and scientists who want to get into medical writing. I also run the Medical Writing Uncut podcast on the Right Clinic YouTube channel, which is free, and there are over 50 episodes now, so you can watch interviews with medical writers from all over the world. I'm working on the International Medical Writing Association I'm building, which will hopefully come out in April in a few months' time. And if you haven't seen it yet, there's Medical Writer Magazine, so that's the front cover, which is nice and bright and colorful, and you can read that for free online as well. It's a digital magazine, and you can watch videos inside the magazine as well. And obviously read lots of fantastic articles from our 14 authors. And the next edition will be coming out at the end of June/1st of July. And I also run the Health Creators podcast because I'm involved in a community of healthcare professionals who create health information videos. And I have Virginia's video school. So I'm creating some courses on how to create videos as well. So what is my life like as a medical writer? Because I get this question a lot. So I no longer have a work commute. So I work from home. And if my client or someone I work for wants to see me in person, then they usually pay for me to travel. So I go to the UK a lot and often my flights are paid for. And I also work fewer hours. As a pharmacist, I used to work from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, and I would also work some weekends as well, which was not my favorite thing to do because it was very tiring. So it didn't leave me much room to live life. So now I have much more time to look after myself, which includes spending time cooking. So I think we can all agree that cooking and shopping and all of the little things around the house take a lot more time, and sometimes there can be a backlog, so you wait until the weekend to do all of that work, but now I can do that daily so it doesn't pile up. And I can go to the gym more to look after myself, and I sleep better as well. And I have more flexible hours to travel off peak as well, so I don't need to try and compete with other people at work to book holidays. And so that means that I don't need to wait for half term or anything like that, any kind of school holidays, to book that time off. And it means travel is also cheaper. And I can book appointments if I need to go to the doctor or the dentist or anyone else. And I have more energy to read and build communities like this medical writing community, and also the health creator community who create videos. And I also love to create videos myself. So education and community is really important to me, and I love to learn. I call myself an information magpie. So this is why I also love to create courses as well. So I love to teach. But even though I've just painted a very rosy picture of medical writing, it was very hard for me to get into medical writing, especially 4 years ago when there was a time where we were in lockdown and we couldn't go outside and everybody wanted to work online. So there were a lot of redundancies and I had to make it work, especially switching from being a pharmacist and moving country and then trying to find a new career as a medical writer. So I want to be honest with you, medical writing is not a get-rich-quick career, but you can earn a comfortable living. So I had a conversation with someone who said, oh, I thought you would earn more as a medical writer. But the reality is, if you are not an extravagant person, so for example, I don't buy new clothes every month, I don't buy jewelry, I don't really buy designer bags or other luxuries and things like that. And like I said before, I try to travel off peak, so I get a good deal. So if you're sensible with your money, then medical writing is a good career to get into. You can get a comfortable living. Medical writing is competitive, but so is every other career that people want to do to work remotely because it's a lifestyle career. And it's perfect if you want to do something different or learn a new skill, because medical writing is mostly about communication and we can all brush up on our communication skills. So even as a writer, I don't write perfectly. I do have to write something and then go back and edit it and make sure that it will make sense to the person that I send that message to. It's also good if you have kids or if you're retired or if you want to travel or work from home, as I do. Full-time jobs as a medical writer are great for learning skills, but they can be hard to get, and also they can be hard to stay in as well, depending on the project. So I've been made redundant twice as a medical writer, but I'm still thriving because medical writing is a skill for life. So you can always repurpose your skills to do other things. So for example, fact checking, evidence checking is what I do now. And also I still do some writing. I do script writing for videos and I film videos myself. I also do a lot of social media management as well, and creating content and designing things like this fantastic Canva slide deck. And I would say that AI is not a threat right now, but I do recommend that you diversify your skill set to future-proof your career, because there are some things that AI can do which will replace some of the things that medical writers do, but I don't think we will ever be replaced because you need humans to double-check things. The hardest part of becoming a medical writer is finding clients, but you only need a few to get started. So once you get that ball rolling, things will be a lot easier. And for me, my experience has been going from a pharmacist and not knowing how to write anything. I've been from, being in a situation where I'm not getting paid very much through Upwork to working in an agency, being made redundant, finding another job, being made redundant again. But then throughout that whole time, I never stopped learning. I never stopped writing. I always was building my portfolio. And there comes a point where you reach a critical mass and you will earn all of that time back and more, because you'll have a bigger portfolio, more skills, and you'll be able to find clients more easily because you've been doing it for years. So for me, I'm coming into my 4th or 5th year as a medical writer. So let's talk about the 5 steps to get into medical writing in 2025. So step 1 is no samples equals no success. So you need to have samples of your writing, because it's better to show your writing rather than talk about how great it is, which is all theoretical. And clients and employers want to see if your writing is what they are looking for. So you want to try and keep your portfolio up to date with your best work. Try not to have too much in there. So for me, I had 70 pieces of work to choose from when I was writing for an online doctor, and I was only getting paid like $10 an hour, which is not how much you should accept to get paid, by the way. I recommend at least like 25 to even £100 per hour if you're just starting out. And the £100 per hour is probably maybe after 1 or 2 years, because you would have built up your skill set. So keep your portfolio up to date with your best work. And to create a portfolio, you want at least 1 to 3 pieces of your best writing. And you can either volunteer for a nonprofit or a charity and write something for them and then get their feedback. And then importantly, you want to get a testimonial or some kind of recommendation from them, because that means that you've done work for someone, you've done it well, and they will be able to write some words about you that can help you hopefully get another job with a future client. Or if you cannot find someone to work for, then you pick a topic that you love, because you'll need to research, write, and then edit some more, all of the things that you write. Because when you are writing something for your portfolio, remember, you're going to put in a lot of effort into it, and you're going to have to really love reading and writing and editing that topic for a long time before you're happy with it. And then you can show that to someone with confidence, and hopefully that will get you some work. You want to present your portfolio in a professional way as well. So on your own website, on LinkedIn, or on a website like Journo Portfolio. So you do not need to create your own website, but if you do have your own website, it can come across as a bit more professional. And if you use Journo Portfolio, that's already a really good template, but the free version limits you to, I think, 10 pieces of articles. But you can put things like your CV, you can link to your LinkedIn, and you can also have a page where you write what you offer. So for example, if you decide to offer blog posts, or you decide to offer some social media posts, let's say you really like writing the captions for Instagram posts, or you're really good at writing scripts for YouTube videos, which is another thing that I started with for a big pharmacist YouTube channel, then make sure that you list what you actually offer in your portfolio as well, and the type of skills that you have. So are you really good at researching? Do you have a background or a PhD in something really specific, like neurology or cardiology? So for me, as a pharmacist, my most specific skill, if you like, or my advantage is that I know a lot about medicines and the side effects and how to describe how they work and things like that, because I have a master's degree as a pharmacist and I practiced for 7 years in London as well. So if you do create a portfolio, I can also take a look at it. So if you're unsure if your samples are good enough to get work, or you want to find out more about creating a medical writing portfolio, then I can read your samples, I can give personalized feedback, and you can check out the medical writing course on Write Clinic, and you can get 10% off with the code WRITE10, which is all one word. So I'll leave a link, which is on screen right now, so you can click that if you'd like to go and check it out in the medical writing course. So step 2 is don't sleep on LinkedIn. So you want to get active to get noticed. So this means having a look at your profile picture. So is it something that looks professional? Do you have a profile banner? And you can design both of these in Canva. It's free to do. It's really quick and easy. There are lots of lovely templates. You can just type in LinkedIn banner on Canva, and then you can look at all the designs. You can change the colors, you can change the words, you can change pictures, and have something on there that you're really proud of that literally says exactly what you do. So for me, my banner currently says, I help people to create health information videos and get into a medical writing career. So it's really clear I do 2 main things. So this is on top of my writing as well, which is what I do. But in my about section, I write more about that. And you want to have some kind of link under your heading. So that link can go to your portfolio, to your website, maybe to a page where you list all of the different things that you offer people. So your service offering. And if you have a featured section on your LinkedIn profile underneath your about section now, because the about section was moved up to just under your heading. In your featured section, you can include maybe a link to have a discovery call with you. And also you can include maybe 1 or 2 of your articles, which are samples that you want people to look at. Or you can include some testimonials as well. So include a link to your portfolio, include a link to your website. There's so many things that you can put in your featured section. I'd recommend putting at least 2 or 3 links in your featured section. And then some people ask me what to post and when to post on LinkedIn. So generally, it does not matter when you post on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is quite slow moving. So when people go to your profile on LinkedIn, they will have a look at what you last posted. So as long as you have a few posts that are recent, that you are really proud of, then that's totally fine. And I would say as long as they're not older than maybe 1 month, then, post once a month. But when you post, make sure it's a really quality post. It's not just you writing 2 sentences saying, have a look at my recent blog on this website, because that doesn't tell me anything about you. It's just you sharing a link, which isn't very helpful to someone who's trying to find out more about what you do and how you do it. So maybe instead of just saying, check out my recent blog post and linking to it, you could say, in this blog post, I was really excited to find out, maybe 3 new things that you found out when you were researching. Or maybe it was something that started to rank highly on Google, or maybe it was something that was used as a basis for a video script. So try to demonstrate why it's worth reading your blog post, or what the process was like to create your blog post. So you could say, oh, when I received this brief, I was really excited because I have a background in cardiology, or I'm a pharmacist and I love writing about medicines, or that kind of thing. The other thing I would say is that when you comment on other people's posts, then whoever follows that person will also see your comment. And if you just like a post, you've got less visibility. So commenting and starting a conversation is one way for people to get to know how you are as well. So whenever I comment, I try to make sure that I'm commenting on posts where I have a relationship with that person, where I can share something unique, maybe from a conversation we recently had. But you should also try to make the comment about that person. So don't suddenly start talking about yourself in a comment, because it means you're disregarding what the person has posted about. So try to be supportive when you comment, because comments are a type of content now. So if you're not really looking forward to writing posts on LinkedIn, then I recommend getting comfortable commenting something meaningful that can start a conversation, because that's what LinkedIn wants. And you may not know this, but I'm part of the LinkedIn Creator Program. And so I'm part of a group of like 1,000 people that the LinkedIn editorial group has invited to. And we have a monthly 1-hour training session where they talk about the trends on LinkedIn and what we should post about. So recently we had one where they told us to try and think of something for Valentine's Day. So I'm looking forward to creating some kind of post or video for that. So the other thing is, should you follow or connect with people on LinkedIn? So I would say follow people that you're interested in working with, or maybe you like the style of their post. Maybe you want to get inspiration from them to post something in future, or you want to learn from them. If you connect with someone, then try to go to their profile page and then click connect and then click add a note. Because when you do that, it means you can write them a little message to say why you are connecting with them. And it also gives them a reason to message you back. And when you connect with someone, it means you can start a conversation. But if you just follow someone, you're not going to be able to message them in the same way that you can when you connect with them. So who should you follow and why? I would recommend that you follow people like recruiters that post about any jobs that are available. So it'll take some time to find them, but usually you can find a company business page of recruiters, or maybe an agency, and you can follow that company business page itself, and you can go to the people section, and then you can actually find people who work there and you can follow them. And then once you've followed them for a while and you've seen the type of things that they post, then you can connect with them and send a message and say, hey, I've been following you for the past 2 or 3 months, and I thought I would get in touch because I saw that you were recently looking for a medical writer, and I'd like to send you my portfolio. And then you can include a link to your portfolio and maybe your CV. So avoid sending messages where you just say hi and you don't say anything else, because people will not respond to that. They want to know why you've sent them a message. You can also message the business page itself now. So that's a new thing that you were not able to do on LinkedIn before last year. So now you can send a message directly to the company, and whoever manages the social media account for that company will be able to respond to you or direct to you where you need to go. And I've already spoken about adding a note when you connect. And LinkedIn Jobs is also a feature on LinkedIn that not a lot of people make use of. But when you go to LinkedIn Jobs, there are filters. So you can filter for remote work or even by location. And you can include keywords like medical writer, associate medical writer. You can also include health writing and things like that. So the difference between a medical writer and an associate medical writer is that an associate is someone who is normally working with someone. So you're being trained on the job. And if you're a full title medical writer, then you probably are less likely to need training. So you're there to do the work. You should also try and follow newsletters on LinkedIn as well. So newsletters are a feature on LinkedIn, and once you subscribe to a newsletter on LinkedIn, then it'll come up as a notification in your normally in your notifications with your bell. And it's helpful to follow newsletters because you can either get tips and tricks, or you can also get any kind of job posts that might be included in the newsletter, maybe for that company or maybe for someone else who's just producing things about medical writing. And community groups. So we've just hit 11,000 members in our Medical Writing for Beginners and Beyond group. And inside there, you can scroll all the way back to 2021 to find loads and loads of resources in the group. And I try to make sure that all the posts in the group are things which are relevant and things that will stand the test of time. So if there's like an advert in the group, then I delete it because I don't want it to be there forever unless it's relevant to people who are going to be looking at it maybe in a couple of years' time who join the group. And so this group I started in November 2021, and we started with about 3 people, and now we're in 2025 and there are 11,000, which is crazy. But thank you so much if you're part of the group, and you can join it. It's totally free. So if you want someone to read your LinkedIn profile and suggest improvements, or you want some more tips on what to post, or you want me to actually look at maybe 3 of your LinkedIn posts before you post them, and also look at your profile page and suggest what you could change about it, then you can have a look at the LinkedIn course at Write Clinic. So again, you can get 10% off with the code WRITE10. So just go to the Write Clinic shop, and then you can have a look you can actually search the shop. Just type in LinkedIn in the search bar. And then if you click the medical writing courses, click to view that's just popped up now, then you can actually go and find that course and take a look and see if it's something that you want to do. Let me go to the next slide. Okay. All right. So step number 3 is to keep learning new skills. So you need to learn skills that your clients want. And this includes things like search engine optimization, which is SEO. So it's not just about keywords. It's also about where you put those keywords. You might also want to learn about the regulations in your country. And you also might want to learn about writing scripts for videos, because right now videos are everywhere. So if you know how to write a script, you're probably going to be in high demand very soon and very quickly. And you might also want to learn how to write different styles of writing. So maybe you want to go into journalism and you want to learn how to interview people, and you might want to go into writing information for patients, which is a different type of audience. Or you might want to do some continuing medical education or continuing professional development kind of styles of writing. And this would be stuff that is aimed towards healthcare professionals who want to keep their medical knowledge up to date. And this includes also writing any types of courses or books or magazines or journal articles. And you should also, keep your skills up to date by reading books and magazines and journal articles as well. So keep things on your horizon, because you might read something and there might be an opportunity there for you to actually work with that magazine or that journal, or to actually message that author. So I, for example, found a book called I Get It, which is all about medical communications. And I loved the book. I bought it off Amazon, and then I actually found the email and emailed the author and then asked if they would be happy to be on the Write Clinic medical writing podcast. And they said yes. So I thought it was kind of crazy that from a LinkedIn post, I actually ended up reading the book and meeting the author. And I think we live in a world where if you reach out to someone in a meaningful way, obviously I read the whole book because her question was, what was your favorite part of the book? So if I wasn't able to answer that question, then it would look like I just bought the book and then just contacted her, which doesn't make sense. So we need to have some kind of conversation on the podcast. And obviously I was able to demonstrate that I read the book, I loved it, and I'm really interested in her sharing her knowledge with the medical writing audience at Right Clinic. And also you want to try and practice using tools to help you write better. So for example, Hemingway app, you can check the grade of your writing. And usually if it's a low grade, let's say like a grade 5 or grade 3, then it means that the writing is quite easy to read. And I would say take it with a pinch of salt, which means that, don't take it too seriously, the grade number, because it still needs to be readable. Otherwise, you're going to end up with lots of sentences which are 3 words long to make it a grade 0, which is the easiest writing to read in the world. But you don't want it to sound like a robot. So make sure that if you are using tools to help you write better, that you still take a step back. And it's also best practice if you can give your writing to someone else to read, to check that they understand what you've written about, and then take their feedback to actually make improvements. So if you do want to learn skills like medical copywriting or search engine optimization or regulatory writing, and also some video script writing later on in the year when I release a new course, then I can help you with that. So again, you can go to the medical writing courses at the shop on Right Clinic, and you can have a look at the Beginner's Guide to SEO for medical writers, the regulatory medical writing for beginners, which is aimed at people in the UK mainly, because I talk about the ABPI code, and also the medical copywriting for beginners course. So I give you tasks in courses and then I give you feedback. So step number 4, how to find clients or a job. So think about LinkedIn. So we went through not sleeping on LinkedIn and then a little bit beyond LinkedIn. So I currently get all of my work through LinkedIn or through people emailing me on my website. And the way people click on my website is usually through the link that is on my LinkedIn, because I can see I get like 156 people clicking on that link just to go to my website to find out more about me. So even though I have a whole LinkedIn page and I'm super active on LinkedIn, people still go to check out my website. So if you haven't got a website, I do recommend creating one. And we do have a course on how to create a website as well. So if you just want a quick guide to that, you can check that out in the shop. So I recommend that before you apply to anywhere, that you polish up your CV, you think about writing a cover letter. A cover letter doesn't need to be 1,000 words. It can be about 5 paragraphs. It's essentially introducing who you are, what you do, why you are looking to work for this person, what skills you have that match the job description. And then also you just saying, thank you so much. I really look forward to the opportunity to speaking with you and working with you, and how to contact you as well. So it's really important that you include those details, because if I'm really interested in you, then I'll say, okay, well, you've left me your email and phone number, but I'm not sure if I should call you, email you, and how long will it take for you to get back to me? So I would say try to include those details. And also a portfolio, try to make sure it's a link and it's a website and it's not something that someone has to download from an email. So try to avoid sending things as attachments, because if your portfolio is online, that means you can make changes to it just in case you notice a spelling mistake, which can be a little bit embarrassing if you're a writer. But obviously you're human. And I think sometimes if there's a spelling mistake, people are less likely to think it was written by AI. So I think some people do it on purpose, but I would avoid having spelling or grammar mistakes if you can. You can also have a look on job boards. So depending on which country you're in, check out any kind of job websites where people frequently post jobs. I also recommend going to places like Upwork anyway, because even though Upwork has some kind of reputation of offering jobs which are really low pay, there are some jobs which are actually really good. And I've actually got some jobs on there where I've been paid, a few £1,000s for a project that was a few months. So I would recommend still having a look there and building up some kind of profile. And, when you get your testimonials there, you can move all of that onto LinkedIn as well. And if you can, try to go to the company website and go to their contact page. So if you click on that, you can send them a message, send them an email. Hopefully you'll be able to add some kind of link to your portfolio or to your website, because that's the other thing. If you are contacting someone through a contact me page, it's much easier to copy and paste a link rather than try to attach anything, because sometimes companies don't want you to email them through their email where you attach lots of documents, because that can be a security risk as well. So I recommend you go to the contact me page, you find the email, and then even if you end up writing the email, then you include links rather than attachments. Even though I know links, sometimes some people don't click on them. But if you have a LinkedIn, that's more likely to be a safe link that they're happy to click on. And also, in job applications, there will usually be a section where you have to copy and paste a link to your portfolio, or you have to copy and paste a link to your LinkedIn. So it's becoming almost like an industry standard to have these things. You can also join communities outside of LinkedIn. So if you find a Discord, or if you find a Reddit thread, or if you find a Slack channel that you really want to be part of, then I recommend doing that. So for example, I'm part of the Juno Slack channel, and Juno is a freelance platform, and a lot of people talk to each other there, where they say, hi, I'm looking for a copywriter, or I'm looking for a designer, or, there's a job for a medical writer. Do you know anyone? And you can interact with people in those instant chat kind of way. And also some people might recommend that you join a WhatsApp. So try to find other communities that you can join to speak to people. And you can also find, like I said before, newsletters on LinkedIn, the platform itself, but there are also newsletters that you can join via email, and sometimes people will email out job opportunities. And try to join groups where people will post jobs as well. So that might not just be on LinkedIn. You can also find these groups on Facebook. And also, if you are on Instagram and you see a brand that you really like, then you can actually send a message directly to that brand. And then if the social media manager for that brand is there, then they might know that they're looking for someone to maybe help with their website. So some people have got work that way in the past, just by sending a message and saying, hey, I had a look at your website. It would be great if I could suggest some improvements, or maybe some blogs that you might want to add to your website, and then you can start the ball rolling there. And also, you can ask fellow medical writers. So when people email me, usually it's a fellow medical writer, and they'll say, oh, I need some support with some projects this year, and I wanted to know if you're available. And you will get these emails throughout the year, because people start to feel like they know you and they can work with you. They trust you because they like the kind of work that you do. Maybe they've been having a look at your portfolio, your website, your LinkedIn, the things that you post, and they will offer you some work to collaborate together. So if you want to learn more about how to find clients as a freelance medical writer, or how to find employment opportunities as a medical writer, again, you can check out the shop on Red Clinic. So step number 5, how to ace interviews and tests. So you've built up your portfolio, your CV, your LinkedIn, and now you've got to the stage where you're going to have a real interview. And some people get to this stage and they're not sure how to practice, or what to say, what to respond to questions. So here are some common questions. So one is, why do you want to work with us? So before you get to your interview where you're talking to the person, you want to make sure that you actually know what recent projects the company has done, who works there, so who you might potentially be working with. And also, you might want to know what the company's values are. So, for example, have they recently got a B Corp certification? So this means that they're really interested in being a sustainable company. Or have they got values like, we really want to create information for people who are really underserved or underrepresented, and that might really align with you because you might have that background, or you may have experienced a situation where you didn't have the right help information that could have helped you. And also think about the people that you want to work with in their company. So for example, you might want to say, oh, I really like this person. I really want to learn from them because I see that they're really experienced in a certain skill. So maybe you want to work with someone who is really good at marketing and you really like that they're super creative, or you really like a recent project that they did with a pharmaceutical company, or you got to see that their company won an award recently. So sometimes there are award shows for medical communications and marketing. And so, you want to learn from that team because you want to see what a really good piece of work looks like. It's award worthy. So that's something that you really aspire to. The next question is, what is your writing process? So I would say be careful with this because you want to think about how you're going to come across in terms of your way of working. So for me, I would say my writing process is I always make sure that the brief is really concise, but also it is exactly what the client wants. So we set the expectations at the very beginning of the project. With the brief, we agree on what's going to be the final deliverable or the final piece of work, if you like. And then the next thing I do is I write the first draft, including all of the research that I've done. And then that first draft goes back to the client so I can get some feedback. And then I do the edits. And then again, you just have this back and forth. And then it's finally ready. And then maybe it will go to the design team to either create it into a poster or maybe the web team to put it on the website. And then you'll have maybe a final review to check that the design team has put it into the poster correctly, so there are no spelling mistakes. And also the website team has put everything on the website in the correct format as well. So making sure that the headings are correct, the paragraphs are in the right place, the bullet points are actually bullet points and that kind of thing. And also there are buttons in the right place, maybe for a call to action. So think about after completing that piece, if you are going to be reviewing it again in future. So as part of one of the courses, I do recommend that you always have a published date and then also a review date as well, because health information can change in future. And it's really helpful when you have a date that's been published, because then the person knows that it's either something recent or it's something that's really old and probably less relevant. So it's important to have a date on your work. So the next question is, where do you find information to help you write? So this is essentially asking you, how do you research? So where do you get your information from? Where do you get the evidence to support what you're going to write about? So for example, there is like an evidence hierarchy. So probably at the very top, you're going to have your randomized double-blind clinical trials. And then at the very bottom, you're going to have your opinion pieces by people who are not scientists and could potentially be pseudoscience. And then you want to talk about sources of information that you've used, maybe for articles that could have been a bit more challenging because there wasn't a really good evidence base, and then showing that you're really transparent when you produce health information or you do any medical writing, to say there's not much evidence to support this or that because more research needs to be done. And it's so important as a medical writer that you do not mislead people and you're really transparent when you are writing. Then the next question is, why do you want to work as a medical writer? So be honest. So you could say, I don't know, you have kids, or you want to learn a new skill, or maybe you want to work more from home because you want to look after your parents. And the other way you could approach it is to say what you want to learn on the job. So for example, you want to learn a specific type of writing. So let's say you're really interested in video script writing, or maybe you really want to get better at social media and you feel that you have the skills and you can learn quickly and you want to learn that skill because it's a valuable skill. And you might also say that you want to transfer your skills, because I was a pharmacist and then I wasn't able to work in Germany as a pharmacist because I can't speak German. And so I want to use my clinical skills in a different way to help patients. And that's always a really great answer. So another question could be to talk about a problem that you recently solved. So I would say provide context and then talk about the problem and then say how you solved it and what the outcome was. So for example, you could say that Maybe there was a website page that wasn't displaying the writing properly, and you noticed that, and then you spoke to the website team, and then they worked with you to try and correct the problem on the website. Maybe some buttons were going to the wrong place when you click them, and that kind of thing. And, auditing your own work is also a good way to demonstrate that you really care about the quality of your work. And the last question is, what qualities do you look for in people in your team? So maybe they are trying to find out what you are like to work with. So, for example, you want to make sure that they're easy to contact, they're easy to communicate with. They also take on feedback. They might provide constructive feedback. So this means that you are not just going to be telling someone that, something's not good enough. You're actually telling them what they need to change about it. And you also want to be with people who are going to be teaching you new skills as well. So your personal development is really important. Hopefully this is a good range of questions for you to think about before your interview. Then when it comes to types of medical writing tests, I would say these are a few that I've come across. And the first one is checking references are cited correctly. So, for example, if you have all of the numbers with the citations at the very bottom of the article, with all the references, then you want to make sure that those actually match up to the right place and they actually make sense. So sometimes people will take things out of context and they'll reference that article and that will not make sense. So you need to be able to identify that and make sure that you're able to correct that. Then also there's fact checking, so comparing the original source of information and the writing together. So, for example, I had to do a test where I was reading an interview with a scientist, and then a junior medical writer wrote an article based on that interview, and it wasn't very accurate. And so I had to highlight what was not accurate and why it needs to be changed. And that actually feeds on to the next point, which is providing feedback on an article. So how do you provide feedback in a constructive way? And then communication skills can be tested as well. So writing an email to a client was another task that I had to do, or writing something for a different audience. So I had to write an app description for patients and then the same exact app description for healthcare professionals. And so the healthcare professional description would be more technical, and the one for patients would include more analogies and also simplifying the medical terms so that they can understand them. And then you might also need to create a very short slide deck, maybe 5 to 10 slides. And this will be based on maybe presenting the clinical trial data from either one article or several articles. And then you add comments on the slide deck to say, this will be the main heading. We would want a picture of the graph here. Maybe the table from the journal article that you are referencing so that the designer can actually put that in. So when you create a slide deck, you are mainly concerned about putting things on there in an accurate way and a concise way because it's going to be part of a presentation. And these are types of tests that hopefully you will come across. And I would also say, don't get disheartened if you don't pass a test. So I've done lots of tests that I haven't passed. And there was one test that I didn't know I was actually competing against other people who had done the exact same test. And they actually user tested my writing against 3 other people's writing. And luckily I won. So I got the job. And unfortunately I was made redundant from that job after a year. But it really gave me confidence in my skills that, after 3 years of being a writer, that I was able to complete a test and I was able to be the better writer from the competition at the time. So tests are there just to check what your skill level is like and maybe pit you against other writers that they may be considering. So always do your absolute best. If the client or the potential employer is asking for you to do a test, which is going to take longer than about 3 to 5 hours, then I would probably not do it unless you really, really want that job. It has good benefits and you're going to learn a lot, or the pay is going to be good, because you could find other jobs that won't be that demanding from you. And also, if they give you a time frame and they say it's going to take 5 hours to complete this test, then it takes longer. You're going to feel like it's not the right job for you. And so there have been tests where I've started it and I realize it's taking me too long and it's just not something that I would want to do as a job. So it's also a way for you to experience the work that you will be signing up to do. And so if you don't enjoy doing the test, you probably won't enjoy the job. So it's a two-way kind of figuring each other out. So the employer wants to know what you're capable of, and you also want to know what type of work you're going to be doing. So if you want to learn more about how to ace a medical writing interview or how to pass a medical writing test, then you can click to view the medical writing courses in the shop, and you can check out those courses where I give you more examples and more information. And I also give you a medical writing test for you to try. And we could also have a conversation in the medical writing interview as well, where I pretend to be the person that interviews you. So these are the 5 steps that you need to get into medical writing in 2025. So if you have no samples, there's no success. So make sure you have a portfolio. Don't sleep on LinkedIn. Make sure you actually use it. It's more and more becoming the place where people do business, and there are people moving from other platforms to have a bigger presence on LinkedIn because it's the place to be if you want to future-proof your career. Keep learning new skills even while you're looking for other jobs, because you never know when you'll learn something that will be really relevant for a job that you are looking for. And how to find clients or a job is another step that you'll need to go through, and we went through how to do that, and also went through some example interview questions and some example tests that you might expect. So if you want to learn even more to get into medical writing, then you might want to check out the Fundamentals of Medical Writing course, where you get lifetime access to everything and you get feedback directly from me on everything that you've just seen in this presentation. And you can check that out at the shop here. So if you click to view the Fundamentals of Medical Writing, this is everything that's included. So the medical copywriting for beginners course, regulatory medical writing for beginners, again, mainly the UK, SEO, which is search engine optimization specifically for medical writers. So it's not just a general search engine optimization course. How to create portfolio, how to find clients, how to create a LinkedIn profile to attract recruiters and clients, how to find clients as a freelance medical writer, how to find a medical writing job as an employee, how to pass a medical writing test with 5 real life examples that I actually did, how to manage your finances as a medical writer, and how to master your work-life balance, and how to ace your interview. And also, even if you buy it today, you'll still get these 2 courses, which I'm going to add to the Fundamentals of Medical Writing. You can either buy them separately or you can buy them within the Fundamentals package, which is a bundle. And even if you buy it today, it will be included because you get lifetime access, including all updates to the Fundamentals of Medical Writing. So this will be Canvas skills for medical writers to help you promote your work and offer more options for your clients. And also how to write scripts for health information videos, because I've been doing that for a few years now. And I also am in charge of the community for YouTube health creators as well. And it's really important to know how to write for social media, because that's the main place that people spend a lot of time on. So learning to communicate there is really important for short videos and long videos, and also potentially for adverts as well. So thank you so much for being here. Now you can ask me anything. So I'll stop sharing and you can ask me any questions you like. I'm just going to check the chat to see if there are any questions in there. So, okay, there's a question which is, can my published papers in medical journals be included in the portfolio? Yes, they can if they are publicly available. So try to avoid including anything in your portfolio that you've signed a non-disclosure agreement or you have behind a paywall which is owned by another organization. So, for example, there might be some journals where if you publish within them, you're allowed to say, I published this article in this journal, but you might not be allowed to reproduce the whole thing in your portfolio. So you might be able to reproduce the abstract, which would be really relevant for your medical writing portfolio. And if you cannot include a specific piece of work in your portfolio, then I recommend that you write about your experience of creating that piece of work. So, for example, at the moment, I created 55 videos in well, it was 5 videos in 11 languages, but 55 videos total for a maternity project. And I can't actually talk about the project until the website is ready, but I do show the thumbnails for the videos so people can see that I did that work. So you can include the title and your name in your portfolio, the name of the article. And I would say that you can talk about how you did that article, who you worked with, and the kind of research that you did to create it. So thank you for your question. Okay, Angela has asked, I'm a newly graduated medical doctor. Could you please suggest some kind of volunteering opportunities for me to start with in order to build my portfolio? For someone with zero experience in general, what do you suggest to start with as a baseline? Okay, so volunteering opportunities. So congratulations on graduating as a medical doctor. Yay! I would say that's a really, really great achievement. And in terms of volunteering opportunities, I would say try to reach out to some charities that you would really love to work with. So, for example, in the UK, we have plenty of different charities like the British Heart Foundation or Macmillan Cancer Care or Anthony Nolan, which helps people with stem cell transplants. And so if you reach out to those people, then you can find opportunities with them. And there are directories of charities that you can look at. So you can just find a list of a lot of charities in the UK, for example, or whichever country you're in, you should be able to find a list of charities because generally they need to be registered with the government as a charity because they get tax benefits as a charity because they're raising money for a good cause and they normally run on donations. So they're not really a business. So in general, what I suggest you should start with as a baseline is writing something that really interests you. So a topic that you really love. So for example, for me, I was really interested in travel health because I was running a travel clinic as part of being a pharmacist. During the 7 years I was a pharmacist in London. And I always found it really interesting when people would come in and they wouldn't know that there are certain diseases that are in a country that they would be traveling to. So for example, rabies or Japanese encephalitis. And so I would write articles about those different diseases and then make a recommendation on how to protect yourself. So for example, for Japanese encephalitis, you want to stop yourself from getting bitten by mosquitoes. And Japanese encephalitis is usually in Southeast Asia, which a lot of people go to for backpacking. So if you're traveling to go there, try to make sure that you are prepared with like insect repellent like DEET, and also consider getting the vaccination because it is available. And even though it's rare, if you don't spend a lot of time in that country, that you'll get bitten by a mosquito carrying Japanese encephalitis, then you want to make sure that you are protecting yourself. And the vaccine is just a really good way to try and protect yourself. So I was really, really passionate about that. And I've had the vaccine myself as well. So I've been traveling there. And so I would say, you know, if there's a topic that you could talk about for a long time that really interests you, then write about it and put that all into a document. So like a Google document, just write your article. And then you can copy and paste that document onto your website. And then you can include a link to your website on your featured section on LinkedIn so people can see an example of an article that you have written. And if you volunteer for a charity, so let's say you really want to write about heart disease, then that charity can write a testimonial for you and you can include that at the bottom of your article. And you can say, I wrote this article, it's here on the website. You can include a link to show that it's been published. And then you can include a testimonial at the bottom of your article so people can see that it's something that you actually wrote. And hopefully you've got a byline, which means that your name is actually written on the article on that website page. And the other thing I would say is that because you're a newly graduated medical doctor, lots of people are always looking for medical professionals to actually review and edit pieces of medical writing just for medical accuracy. And I know from experience from a lot of charities that I've communicated with that they often find it really hard to find a doctor to actually read and check and edit. So if you can't write an article, then maybe you could do some medical reviewing because charities will often need someone to do that before they can publish the article or whatever they are looking to publish, maybe on social media, maybe a video. So you can try going into editing first and reviewing, and trying to get your name as the reviewer on the article, because that will help build your SEO as well, because there's SEO for articles, but then also your name is a search term as well. So when people type your name into Google, then you want those articles to come up, and you want to be the reviewer on those health articles, or you want to be the person who wrote it as well. So hopefully that helps. Okay, more questions. So could I include in the portfolio my master's thesis or PhD thesis? So that's a really great question. So because a thesis is really, really long, what I would recommend you do is include a summary and say, this is my master's thesis, this is what it's about, and you can find the full version here. So I would not include the whole thing, but I would probably include a section of it to demonstrate your skills. So for example, if you're really proud of part of the introduction in your thesis, then include that in your portfolio. Or if you're really proud of the conclusion, then include that in your portfolio. Because sometimes you can put so much into your portfolio that the person looking at it will be really overwhelmed and they'll be unsure exactly what you want them to see. Also, a PhD and a master's thesis, whichever one you want to include, they are really long, so it's unlikely that someone is going to read the whole thing. So it's important that you are quite selective with what you show. And then if somebody does want to read the whole thing, then you can tell them how they can get the whole thing. So you can say, if you want the whole thing, then just contact me. I'll be happy to send you a copy. Okay, so another question. Do you provide any on-the-job training where you'll be mentoring a beginner or aspiring medical writer? I mean, just like an internship. So I do not provide any internships at the moment. And the reason for that is I do not have time to train someone and pay them at the same time. So it would have to be like volunteering. And I think I don't really want to do that because I'd rather have someone who knows some skills, and then I can just train them a little bit more, and then they get to the level that I can really find helpful for any projects that I do. So at the moment, I work with people who are a bit more advanced medical writers. And I would say that for beginners, as a minimum, if you want to work with me, then I would say it's really important that you go through the courses and then you've done some work to build up your portfolio. And then after that, I would have a look at your portfolio, and then I would consider maybe offering you work. So some kind of collaboration. So great question. Okay, there's another question here, which is, do I have to be the first author on those papers? No, you do not need to be the first author. I know there's a lot of academic pride in being the first author, but I would say that you do not need to be the first author. As long as you're one of the main people that did the writing, then I would say that's totally fine to include that in your portfolio, in your collection of writing. Okay, here's another question. I would love to join if there are any opportunities, as I mentioned. Yeah, absolutely. If there are any opportunities, then I would let everyone know. So thank you for offering. Okay, so next question. I have practiced in human and animal healthcare for 32 years. That's amazing. Well done. Do you recommend just start writing versus taking a lot of courses first? Due to my professional background, which has included writing articles, etc., I'm just starting off in this direction. Maybe you just answered this. So I would say, yes, you can just start writing. If you're not sure, then you might just want to buy a mini course just for me to have a look at your writing before you send out that portfolio to a potential client or employer. The thing is that when you write things and you present it to someone in a professional way, then they will get a feel for how you are and what you write. And I would say if your professional background has included writing articles, then you should be quite confident and you may not need feedback from someone like me. But if you did want a second opinion, then you can go ahead and take a look at the available medical writing portfolio course where I can have a look at it for you. And it's just a small payment to get feedback that can get you work that will pay back the course. So that's where the courses are quite reasonably priced. It's unlikely that you're going to get work for less than £99 or something like that. You're probably going to get an article where you write for, maybe £500 to £1,000, especially because you've got 32 years of practice in human and animal health. So I would say that's a lot of experience, and you would be able to write from that point of view, which is really, really valuable. So you probably only need to do a little bit of research to just validate what you know, and then maybe have a look at anything new that has come out. So yeah, thank you for your question. Any more questions from anyone? You can type them in the chat. Otherwise, I will wrap up the webinar. Thank you. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.